terrorize the streets of Sodom, and that night, in Gibeah, when the hospitable door exposed a matron to avoid worse rape. These were the prime in order and in might. The rest were long to tell, though far renowned. The Ionian gods of Javan's issue, held gods yet confessed later than heaven and earth, their boasted parents. Titan, heaven's firstborn, with his enormous his face deep scars of thunder had entrenched, and care sat on his faded cheek. But under brows of dauntless courage and considerate pride waiting revenge. Cruel is I, but cast signs of remorse and passion to behold the fellows of his crime, the followers rather, far other, once beheld in bliss, condemned forever now to have their lot in pain, millions of spirits for his fault immersed of heaven, and from eternal splendors flung for his revolt. Yet faithful how they stood, their glory withered, as when heaven's fire hath scathed the forest oaks or mountain pines, with singed top their stately growth, though bare, stands on the blasted heath. He now prepared to speak,